The prison system over the last 40 years has shifted its focus from rehabilitation to being stricter on punishment. The prison systems are now extremely overrun and have exceedingly small budgets. The prison system should return to rehabilitation over trying to be harder on crime. The three main reasons why the prison system should switch back to rehabilitation over being stricter on crime is because of strict sentencing, budget cuts, and the crooked idea of punishment that now comes with the prison system. Over the last 40 years, strict punishment and strict sentencing in the prison system has gone up 222% from recent rates before 1980. In the prison system, there are over 2 million people that are incarcerated. Of those 2 million people, 1 in every 142 American people are incarcerated. Of the 2 million people incarcerated, 1 in 7 of those people are serving life sentences for their crimes that they have committed. Of those that are serving life sentences, a lot of them are serving life sentences without parole, which means that there will be no chance for them to have their case looked at again to see if they can possibly either have a smaller sentence or get out of jail earlier for good behavior. Along with that, judges are now adding plus 1,000 years at the end of a life sentence due to the new laws being passed that some prisoners can serve their sentences non-concurrently, which means they will not serve them one after another. So a person could serve a life sentence technically and get out, so judges are now adding plus 1,000 years, so there is no possible way that a prisoner with a life sentence could leave prison. According to a study done in 2013, over 3,000 U.S. prisoners are serving life without parole for nonviolent crimes. In some states, many people are serving life sentences without parole for drug-related crimes where the state has now deemed that drug legal. But in some areas, they will not release that prisoner because they were charged before the law was changed. Many of the governments have also wanted to cut back money from the prison system for other state needs. In California, the prison system budget is now being cut because the state governor wants to use the money elsewhere besides the rehabilitation of prisoners. The budget cuts that some of these state governors are creating has been leading to understaffing, cutting programs for rehabilitation, and poor living conditions for mentally ill and all inmates. Understaffing in the prison system is a huge problem. This can lead to more violent crimes inside the prison system and less chance for rehabilitation for many prisoners. Along with understaffing, budget cuts come with cutting programs for rehabilitation. That would include GED classes, therapy classes, and just overall having anybody or anything that is in the prison that will actually help transition prisoners out of their violent state into a more normal state. Many prisoners, due to budget cuts, have overcrowding, which leads to poor living conditions for a lot of the prisoners, especially those who have mentally ill problems and can become violent based off of just their surroundings. About 20% of the inmates in the prison system have mental health issues. That would be about 356,000 inmates that have mental health issues in the prison system that may not be getting help due to the budget cuts. Mentally ill patients were actually virtually ignored for many years in the prison system, and this came with the new crooked idea of punishment that started in the early 1980s. Many prisoners actually really needed the help that came along with being in the prison system to help get their mental issues under control because they could not physically do it themselves without somebody else being there. Either they couldn't pay for it or they were mentally not okay to go out and get their own help. Until the mid-1970s and early 1980s, prisoners were actually encouraged to develop job skills to help resolve a lot of their psychological problems. This also helped with their reintegration into society once they were released. Before 1980, a lot of prisoners who were not serving sentences for nonviolent crimes would be released early to reintegrate back into society with the skills that they had learned from inside the prison system that came from all of the different programs that the prison systems offered for them. In the last 40 years, rehabilitation has taken a backseat in the prison system because the government wanted to get tough on crime. Jimmy Carter, who was the President of the United States from 1977 to 1981, after leaving office had even reported that the rehabilitation system in the prisons was not once what it was. In 2006, Jimmy Carter said that when he was the governor of Georgia, there was 1 in 1,000 American citizens was incarcerated. Jimmy Carter started to agree that rehabilitation had started to take a backseat in the prison system, and they started to favor punishment over the rehabilitation part of the prison system. The prison system needs to move away from the strict sentencing and crooked form of punishment that has evolved over the last 40 years. States also need to find different ways to use the prison budget to help in ways of rehabilitation to help with the reintegration of prisoners back into society once their prison sentence is up.